Ladies and gentlemen, it is officially live. It is now time for Transformation Greatness, along with the Small Business Network podcast, episode 139. And this is going to be for the Domestic Violence Awareness Month series as it continues to kick off. I can tell you this has been a pleasure. This has been an honor and a privilege just to be interviewing those that's in this space and that's really passionate and courageous as well for even sharing their story. I see you, Pratibha. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get this party started. And do me a favor, as you will, as I invite my guest on. If you're catching this on the live, then do me a favor, put in hashtag live and let us know exactly where you're tuning in from. And then, but of course, if you're catching this on a replay, because of the fact that, you're busy, you're committing to other commitments, whatever the case, then put in hashtag replay. I'm your host, Sean White, founder and creator of Transformation Greatness, which, by the way, we're all about motivating, encouraging, and inspiring the masses. And my brand is triple fold because I am a speaker, in addition to being a coach, as well as a hypnotherapist practitioner. But also, in addition as well, I have the responsibility, or title of being a radio and TV personality with the Small Business Network, along with my business partners, Dr. James McConnell, Chrissy Redding, Roosevelt Russell, Nicole Player, and many others. And of course, I wear many different hats. So, beautiful thing. That's just a little bit about me. But tonight, it's about our very special guest here. Pratibha, send me an invite because for whatever reason, I don't know why, it's not allowing for me to send you an invite. But tonight, my guest is someone that in this space, and I mentioned this when we did the test run, that is well respected as far as in the social media streets. She has accomplished a lot. I had an opportunity to have a conversation with her, and I really just love her spirit. I love her. And you know what? She's a prime example of it doesn't matter on how you start. It's all about on where you're going, what you're really doing, and also how will you finish. Where you're going tonight, you're gonna have an opportunity. We got a lot of echo there. You may have to echo it from your phone.
Okay. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me about the echo?
Yeah, so we're going to do this just from my phone. So we're going to rock and roll.
Okay.
Just how it is. Hi, guys. And did I cut you off?
Excellent, excellent. So with no further ado, as I see, she's so excited. She's ready to get rock and rolling. So forget the pleasantries. Let's just jump right into it. That's what I'm talking about here.
Oh.
So we have here our very special guest, and I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Is it Pratibha Day?
No, it's okay because we're not attached to our names over here. So it's
Okay.
Pratibha. It's Pratibha Day. Yeah.
Pratibha Day.
Pratibha.
Awesome.
Yeah. You can call me Tiba. It's fine.
Okay, Tiba, thank you, thank you. Look at that, she let me off the hook. I tell you, because I probably would have chopped the name up 20 times tonight, and I'm pretty sure she would probably got pretty upset. But anywho, welcome here to Transformation Greatness, along with the Small Business Network podcast. We're definitely excited to have you on board here and to be a guest and be a part of the Domestic Violence Awareness Month series. So I thank you for that first and foremost. Let's jump into this bad boy, shall we? Because just like I was mentioning to the listener audience, you have accomplished so much. I had a chance to take a look at your profile. We had a chance to speak. But for those that may not know you, right, can you tell them a little bit, just a little bit more about you, and then we can go ahead and get started.
So hi, everyone. Great evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm here in New Jersey. And so a little bit about me. I started the mental health journey really 4 years ago in 2020 after I experienced a lot of hardship and a lot of loss. And I felt alone in the world, and I felt alone with the burden that I had to carry only at the age of 27 and just turning 27. And there was no community for me. I always felt so alone and who to share this with. So I decided to create a community. And that's how Try Together Community, which is my online group. which turned into a brand and video podcast. And then it just grew from there, and I started speaking about mental health, suicide prevention, and worked in the field of mental health as a counselor. So that's a bit about me, a little bit, yeah.
Cool. So let's go ahead now and dive in a little bit deeper because like man, you're doing so much. But I guess like my question is like because you mentioned that you had a history obviously of
Hmm.
like domestic violence and
Yeah.
abuse and I guess my question is because I mean it's totally up to you how you want to answer this. I don't know if you want to tell us your story of how that all started or maybe you can go to like how like what did you do to transition out of that because I know it takes a lot of courage, right? And obviously we all know there's still a ton of people in the world that's suffering from domestic violence and they just not comfortable, they're scared, they have all different types of emotions. So maybe you can share us a little bit of your backstory.
There's like so much to unpack here, but let's start with the beginning, like of the definition of domestic violence. Like,
Okay.
so let me ask you, like, what do you view as domestic violence? Like, how do the majority of people actually see it as? Like, what do you think of when you hear domestic violence?
Yeah, I guess that's a great question because I remember growing up, you know, being from the projects, Brooklyn, New York. It was all types of violence, from gun violence to drugs to you would hear like arguments from like your neighbors. It'd be like a lot of physical abuse, a lot of different things of that nature. So for me, it was like a way of life, right? It was pretty normal, right? Especially growing up in the 80s during the crack era. I mean, the murder rate was just like at an all-time high, in New York. So domestic violence, it was like really a way of life. It went hand in hand. It was pretty normal for us growing up in the hood, right? We didn't know that we didn't know that, domestic violence was wrong, right? Because of the fact it happened every single day. And either if it wasn't happening in our households, and more times than not, the friends that we hung out with or with our family members, it was happening. So again, for us, it was just a way of life. It was normal. Not until obviously as I got older, I started realizing like obviously, you know, that's not living. Obviously, that's not living. But when you're in that cycle, when you grow up, especially like in the slums and Section 8, right, and poverty, that's a way of life unfortunately, and it's normal, unfortunately.
I like how you put that way of life because for a lot of people they don't know the difference because that's their normal, quote unquote. And that's actually something that I would teach when I used to facilitate my group classes. So yeah, the reason why I asked that is because most people think it's just physical,
Yeah.
but actually, it's a majority. It's 96% women that are affected by males, and only less than 4% that are registered. All over the United States that are even. I'm sorry, 4% of men. I hope I didn't say this incorrectly. That are domestically abused by women that are registered. Through the court and things. So it's such a low percentage. So I'm just going to start here with domestic violence because a lot of times, because I worked with a group of men actually coming from prison, coming from DCPMP, either they need to get their kids back, so they have to go through my program, and I have to, do the report writing and have them certified that they're good to go and know how to have a healthy relationship. So it's really great that you mention about the household because that's really the root of everything. That's where it begins. And let's get real. A lot of the time, people aren't ready to be parents when they become parents. There's still inner child healing that needs to be done, and majority of people don't need to be parents, I feel.
Mm.
And domestic violence in itself would be uprooted if people were to heal first before they step into, creating life, I feel. So, my story with domestic violence, I would say instead of getting into all the details necessarily, right? Like I can share parts,
Right.
but it all starts in the family. So for me as well, and being South Asian, a lot of South Asian women usually don't have a voice, right? Or inferior, especially in Middle East and India, right? Which is where I come from. I migrated to this country in 1999, and I was a shy person and I wasn't allowed to have a voice. So it's really interesting that what's really your calling and what's your soul journey is not someone that Like there's no one that can actually stop it. And I'm actually learning a lot about the soul now and the spirit and doing a lot of this inner work, because you can forget all the noise and all the details of, well, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me, and really look at the core of, well, what am I rooted here to do? Like, what is my soul's purpose? Like, why am I here? And I truly feel all the different domestic violence, from emotional, verbal, mental, financial abuse, environmental, and physical. All these things I experienced from the age of 4 or 5 up until 27. So up
Mm.
until that point. And the story from here on, you heard before that I shared with you, is that my past trauma, my childhood trauma, and my generational trauma, people, such a cliche word because people quote this word a lot, like generational trauma. You see all these social media posts and quotes and everything, but a lot of people look at social media as education, but that's not education. And that's why I'm saying now I'm really digging deeper and reading books and talking to shaman. Like I have a shaman that I go to, and really looking at the deeper work of my roots rather than just learning from social media or people's opinions. So the reason I say all this is because I just feel that, I don't know, I'm just gonna digress here, but I just feel that in this country, because I used to live in Thailand, and that's where I'm gonna start off after I state this that I told
Okay.
you. But in this country, after working in the mental health field and now leaving the mental health field, like leaving the system, because they didn't want me to heal people, right? They just wanted me to put a band-aid on, and they want me to keep feeding individuals to the insurance companies. And when I offer holistic ways to heal, they actually don't want me to speak up about that as much. So I decided to leave because I'm very limited to actually healing people, right? People go into mental health because they want to heal people. Mental health is part of domestic violence. It's all intertwined, and we're all intertwined as beings. So, when you offer help, there is actually no help available in the mental health system, and even psychiatrists don't even know why we have the diagnoses we do.
Pratibha, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but can you come a little bit more into the camera?
Is this it?
Yeah,
Oh,
perfect,
okay.
right there.
Why
And
was I half? Oh, okay, that's why.
yeah, and
Okay.
also too, like your volume went down as well. I noticed, and I'm
Oh,
hearing
is
the echoing
it
too.
is it good now?
Let me see here.
Is it good now?
Can you hear my echo?
No.
Okay, that's perfect. There you go. Excellent.
It's
Okay.
it's because my thumb was actually covering the speaker.
Uh, okay.
Because I'm on the phone, so I apologize to everybody who's
There you go.
listening
The volume
to
is
this.
it went back to normal 1,000 times better. But go ahead, continue. Continue.
um, I don't even know where I exactly was, but it's fine. But yeah, really. So when I was 27, I'll just go back to that because I digress. When I was 27, all my past trauma, I feel like strengthened me, right? Made me a really resilient person to come to that point of where I was able to overcome this and create a brand of my own, a community of my own, and go from there. And like, how did I even become a stronger woman that was able to get out of that? And I repeatedly kept stepping into the same, S, I'm going to say, not curse, but
Right.
it's like, and it's like each time, for years, like I suffered from clinical depression and suicide ideation, but I always knew that I wanted to get out of it. Like I would pray to God, like, how do I get out of this? I want to get out of this trauma. That I just had hope. Literally, when I was 20 years young, and I'm 30 now, and I used to talk to God, and I used to say, someone out there needs me. And I would say these positive affirmations. I have tattooed, keep your faith. So whenever I felt suicidal, I would read that on my body. And the Proverbs I have tattooed on my body from the Bible, Tree of Life. So Proverbs 11:30. So it's really interesting that something in my soul knew that this isn't it for me.
Right.
And one day I finally found my way home, like to myself, and through a blessing in disguise that I shared with you. So when I was 27, I found myself being involved in a domestic violence relationship, which I viewed as love, which was really love bombing.
Right.
And this is a period of time I've never had therapy. I had never been on any medications. I really didn't have any guidance or support in my family, such as, a father that would guide me towards that, a mother who would guide me towards proper people in life. So not having that, I was just kind of falling, all over the place. And that's how a lot of women become distressed in life and lead towards, a path that isn't feminine to their divine energy. So yeah, I found myself involved in that relationship, and it was really scary because it was at this time I found myself to become pregnant through the situation, and I was actually expecting in my second trimester when I quote it ran for my life because I literally did. I escaped. Unknowingly, I left the country. So I fled the
Mm.
country to save my life and save my child and hope that and having faith, literally just holding on to hope and faith, and of
Right.
course having courage. And it's interesting because Chai Together, which is my brand, the community I created, the acronym Chai stands for courage, hope, and inspiration. And I truly embody that. And a lot of people may make brands just, to become popular for the heck of it, for commercialization. But my
Right.
brand was rooted from the loss of my children because it was twins. So I found my way back through
Mm.
two friends who helped me um, get back on my feet. And it was the scariest time, yet I kind of felt numb to it. I kind of felt hysterical, almost like I was laughing as if life felt like a joke, that I found myself 4 months pregnant on the streets, and I was a teacher prior, and I was teaching in Thailand, and that it was mind boggling to me. So moving forward, I decided to have an abortion in my second trimester. And I was shamed, I was shamed. I was told I should be embarrassed and all these things. And that my children were actually Black. They were Cameroonian. And I was told that me being South Asian, that's not welcome in our community. So there
Oh wow.
racism on top of that.
Oh
So
wow.
facing all these
I didn't
things, and
know that.
facing yeah, so facing a lot of hardship, um, just from that, and even some physical abuse even after that, like the things that I had to experience, and the homelessness prior to being pregnant, during and after, living out of a suitcase, bouncing from house to house. It was it was a feeling that I don't feel any human being needs to feel when you feel alone in the world. So
I agree. I
that being
agree.
said,
I can agree with
um,
that. I can totally agree.
yeah. And the smile you see and how I look and all, like, this all wasn't there.
Right.
And I had that Britney moment, you would say, and I did shave my head off. But it was more so for because I'm spiritual, it's more so for healing. And Buddhist monks actually shave their heads for release, like a new rebirth.
Mm.
And I lived in Thailand, and I believe in Buddhism, and my background's in Hinduism, but I'm open to all, just spirituality. So I found myself in that situation, and I'm just really grateful how God blessed my life throughout, and I received my pay, through unemployment when I came back. So I suddenly had a lot of money coming back into the States. And it's like God really supported me once I stepped into my power of making the best decision for myself. But really, how Chai Together came about is because my mom and I would have chai together, which is Indian masala chai, not the Starbucks chai latte. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But but point being, I had never been live. I had never made a video. I didn't really know many people, and it started from scratch. I painted my logo with dollar store paint that I had and printer paper, and it came to me in a dream. And at this time, I had aborted my kids, and they came to me. It came to me in a dream, and I always wanted to bring it to fruition. So I brought it to life. I brought my idea to life, and I decided in that moment when I had released them, then a loss, I would say that I was going to be successful in life and I wasn't going to let their death go in vain. It made me really, really strong, and it does something to a woman that I feel only a woman would know,
Mm.
in her design. That when a woman goes through such hardship when it comes to a physical loss regarding her body.
I want to say something on that. And
Sure.
by the way, yeah, that was absolutely powerful, right? For all those, before I get to my points, I just
Yeah.
want to just say hello to everyone. Um, Brother Dave, thank you, man. I definitely appreciate it. And Roosevelt Russell's in the house. Welcome, welcome. He's actually a part of the Small Business Network. He's actually, one of my partners and CEOs. Two points I wanted to make. I mean,
Mhm.
as I was listening
Yeah.
to you, my first point is this, is like you made a decision because you could have easily said, you know what, everything in which I went through, through the abortion, through the abuse, being
Mhm.
homeless,
Mhm.
coming back to the States, you could just say, you know what, I'm just going to start over and I'm just going to keep this to myself. But yet, when you receive this digital download, from God, and you just knew somehow, some way that you would be successful, that in itself is huge because a lot of people, and obviously, working in the field and, um, seeing clients, how it's not easy. I don't know anybody really in their right state of mind that's going to be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, this happened to me for 15 years, and yeah, I'm going to go ahead and share it. No, it's a lot of shame and guilt and hurt and all those strong emotions in between, plus the fear of criticism and everything else. So I got to give you major, major props for that. That's the first one. The second one is this, too, that for you to say, okay, you know what? I know I went through it, and I know I'm supposed to share,
Mhm.
but yet making that decision for opportunity to come about, and you say yes to share your story and your expertise. And for that in itself has to be commended because, again, there's a lot of individuals, especially in the speaking world, right? I mean, it's a lot of people that's experts. They can teach you everything from funnels to sales strategies to marketing to branding, everything else in between the sun. And they are brilliant in their lane.
Mhm.
But to me, this is just for me, I
Mhm.
don't find too many people that are truly authentic. And
Oh.
I'm hearing from you, and basically, when I did my research on you, I see that you're very authentic. So I guess my question for you, and maybe for the listener audience, because I see no one has any questions, where did that, um, I guess, level of being truly authentic came from? What,
I
what do you
only
think?
laugh. You know, I always laugh, but I literally was born this way. I've been this way my whole life. I used to go up to homeless people since I was a child and ask them their name and ask for a hug. And I feel like my spirit, I used to be called a what is a moon child or flower child, and I've always been a free spirit. This has always been in my nature, and I support anyone and everyone. Before people even knew me on social media, before I even had Facebook and this community, I've been like this my whole life. But you know, when they say that you can be trying something like a strategy to get, to get noticed and all, it doesn't work. That's because you need to change your strategy. The only difference is I got online and I shared what I went through before. I didn't have a voice, I didn't have the confidence or the courage.
Okay.
But when you lose kids, you don't fear anything. If so, it's kind of like someone wants to hurt me, like try me. Like it's kind of like I'm gonna f you up. Like
Mm,
you get so angry at life that there's nothing worse that can happen to you except to lose kids. I mean, something to that extent. Yes, you lose parents and things, but that's just another level. And I feel like that's still a loss. I mean, it is a loss, but when people I used to hear my story, they would think, "Oh, how old were they?" It's like, well, it does. That's an presumption. Like, it doesn't mean that they were born yet.
right.
You know, people experience all different kinds of loss. It just happens. Mine wasn't ideal. It's not something I wanted. It's what the life circumstance I had. And me being a teacher, it's not ideal that I wanted to have an
Right.
abortion. It was my first pregnancy in
Mm,
life.
right.
And I was actually engaged as well to this individual. So my world was just crashing down. And
Understand, right. Mm,
and so, but I wanted to go back to regarding chai to mention that in the midst of all of this, I also have a mother who has schizophrenia, and that's why I started the community. So while I was dealing with my own stuff, I was taking care of a mom who has schizophrenia.
wow.
And I also graduated top of my class in college after my abortion, and my university featured my community as a part of the school.
Wow.
So
Wow.
So I really, when I say I was restless, I mean, I did everything I could to do as much as I could um, in the world because I was just really using my anger to propel myself forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So,
Yeah.
you did mention you had an opportunity as far as to be on like speaking
Yes.
platforms and be able to share. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So yes, so I actually my first video that I ever made on my broken iPhone at the time, coming back from Thailand and having experienced that with my bald head and everything, when I barely had anything except for maybe like 6 pieces of clothes. I sat in the grass with that same broken phone screen iPhone, and I made a 3-minute video about what I went through. It was a challenge. So, because of the money I now had through unemployment and COVID happening, I used my funds instead of buying a car, instead of buying clothes or anything. I put everything into self development.
Wow.
Everything,
Wow.
everything, all $15,000, $16,000, and more actually. Um, so I joined with Les Brown, and then he
Mm,
got to know my story, and I was one of the top 20 speakers when he launched his program.
wow.
uh,
How
yeah.
was that
And
experience like? Like just working with Les Brown, because he's
working with
like,
Les, yeah, Les is the character, and I actually worked with him for up to a year, like 10 months, 8 months to 10 months, on calls, and spoke to him a few times, and he came here to New York. I went to go see him there. And really, I'm great with people, and naturally I care about people. So networking for me isn't, I don't have an agenda. When I speak to people, I naturally always want to know people's stories and talk to people. So, so that 3-minute video came about, and it was interesting because I didn't even get reviewed, and I got selected, as in I was just so powerful, and my power at that time, and it's still today. I just claimed it, and I already knew I didn't have to, and I was actually featured on his website too.
wow,
So
wow,
it's pretty
wow.
crazy, and it's pretty crazy. So my network just blew up from that point. And yeah, he really liked my speech. It was a virtual summit at the time of COVID. Then I went to Atlanta, and Les was still virtual, but we all went to Atlanta to speak on stage. It's my first time for a motivational speaking, and I did my speech, and I blew that S out of the water. It's
Congratulations.
I was a so I'm called, what do you call it, what would you say, firecracker,
Okay.
firehouse, whatever people say. Like, I really get loud, like, as in I have something to
Right.
say and people need to listen.
Right.
So that's my personality.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So, with that being said, wow, and I mean, you know what, congratulations. And, I know Les Brown, and I think I said this too on one of my many live streams. I remember when Transformation Greatness was actually birthed.
Uh-huh.
And by the way, for a lot of people know, but then again, a lot of people don't know.
Hmm.
But my brand was basically birthed out of my lowest point in my life. I'm talking about financially, spiritually, emotionally. I was in a shelter that was designed from an old prison. So you can just imagine the type of characters that was actually in the shelter. I was around murderers, rapists, you name it, pretty much was there, right? And
Hmm.
we didn't have beds. We had like those hard metal beds, and every night it would either be like super cold or super hot. It was just nightmarish. But what I learned from that is really that at my lowest point where you know what, it was like I was at the crossroads.
Hmm.
And it was like I could have just gave up and
Hmm.
just cursed God and just gave up, and who knows where I'd be at right now, right? Decided just figure it out, do my own thing. But what I did is that I leaned on God and really depended and trusted on God. And I tell you what, that's how transformation greatness was actually birthed. And
Hmm.
maybe one day I'll go back and I'll explain the origin of transformation greatness, just in case of those that's new that really don't know my story. But
Hmm.
the reason why I bring that up is because more times than not, and again, this is just my
Uh-huh.
opinion, until a person really went through something,
Hmm.
really went through some storms, it's
Hmm.
very difficult for you to really try to communicate with your audience when you're trying to explain to them in terms of encouragement, in terms of inspiration, in terms of motivation, right? It's very difficult if you haven't been through a storm like that yourself and you have proof or hard evidence
Mhm.
to support that. I know as far as in the scriptures, it talk about, well, actually, like in the churches and whatnot, it talks
Mhm.
about having a testimony. And
Mhm.
that's an absolute truth. So for the fact that you are, doing on what you're currently doing, right, as of right now, is
Mhm.
truly a testimony and it's truly an inspiration in itself. So let me ask you this because you are a teacher, right? So because obviously we discussed the numbers, and the numbers is very, very high, right? For those that's reported, but there's a
Mhm.
lot of cases that's not being reported. If there is someone that's going through a domestic violence situation or knows someone,
Mhm.
right, or that's probably in a toxic environment where it's like that,
Mhm.
what can a person do? What resources that they will have in which, they can get that support? Because obviously we both know it's not easy.
Mhm. So the first thing I see when we say domestic violence, sometimes people think it's only romantic, but it's not.
Right. Okay.
It can be family, it can be other things. So my first thing would be to contact the domestic violence hotline, and you can do that different ways, right? And I say that because they are trained, to guide you for your specific situation, right?
Okay.
And so now I'm also working with women, in domestic violence to help them heal their life. So if you're a woman and you want to talk to me, you can email me. And can I just share my email if they need it?
Yeah.
Oh,
By all
okay. And
means.
I'll write it in the comments. So it's my first
Absolutely.
name, Pratibha, Pratibha, last name DEY01 at gmail.com. So, and you can find this on my website too, pratibhaday.com. But so I'm going to be working with women only after this October. And I used to work with men when I used to counsel them in domestic violence. And the reason why I'm choosing women is because I've learned that I asked God and God gave me a sign and he told me to focus on the women because a lot of women come to me regarding that. But you asked, what can people do? I feel like each scenario is different. So it depends what someone's means are. Like, do you have any finances to where you can leave the situation? My situation, I was lucky to where I have, friends that were able to help me, and things like that. So it all depends what you have, and you have to start with what you have. But anything is possible, but you just have to physically leave the environment.
Mhm.
That's the number one thing. A lot of the time it's just mental. Even now, I do have friends now too who are in such situations, whether it's even their work environment or anything, and they don't leave because of the fear, because you don't know what you don't know when you're inside the picture frame. Les Brown says
Correct.
this a lot.
Correct.
When you're inside the picture frame, you don't see yourself. And that's what a lot of mental health and trauma and domestic violence really is. You're so normalized to pain and suffering.
Mm,
Like you're just normalized to pain and suffering, and
correct.
that you don't see a different life for yourself, that you possibly even forgot to dream or envision what a healthy lifestyle or healthy relationship and healthy love even looks like. And that's
Right.
what you need to return to, because I think we all know you weren't born here just so you can be abused, physically, verbally, mentally, and be told that you're going to be nothing in life and that you're
Right.
stupid and that um, you can go die, And it's interesting because I was actually told these things.
Mm.
And so I actually was told to go kill myself last week by somebody online. They told me to go kill myself. It's very interesting because it says a lot about the individual than about me. Because if I wanted to kill myself, God would have took me out many years ago and not got me here today.
Agree.
So if I killed myself, how many people will be living today? We all help one another like a helping hand. So maybe someone else wouldn't exist today if I wasn't here.
Absolutely, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So what's next? What can people expect more from you? Because you did mention as far as you're going to be
Uh-huh.
working with women more, but
Yeah.
what's next on your menu? Like, are you going to be doing TV, radio? Are you going to be speaking around the world? Like, what's going
Oh,
on?
I love that you say that because, yeah, TV is my goal. And I'm not talking Roku TV or anything. So, fun stuff. I want to tell you two things. When I was 19, I had lunch with Stedman Graham, which is Oprah's partner.
Hmm.
He lives here in Jersey and I'm in Jersey. And when I was in school, I took a ticket to go see him for a luncheon. And that was the most inspirational day of my life, being 19, meeting Stedman. And he always said that I was at the table next to him. He said, don't refer to him as Oprah's boyfriend, that he has his own identity. And that
Right.
always stayed with me forever. But I'm sharing this because I always wanted to um, be like Oprah, like do something like open an orphanage or something. And it seems like my life is coming together in that way with my story, my background, but then all the fruitful things come about after. So I feel like I'm 30 and I still have ways to go. And whatever God wants me to accomplish, as far as I'm needed to go, my soul needs to go. And then when it's time to leave this earth, I leave this earth, like the physical body. So I'm just here to keep doing this work and helping people, and I help people every day. And not even for monetary gain, just naturally. It's a gift of mine. And my gift has always been to bring out greatness in other people that I used to hinder my
Right.
own. So for once,
Yeah.
I've just stepped into my greatness and acknowledged that, I am a coach and I can't avoid it anymore, because people see that in me and it's like I was running from it. So I don't run from it. So now I'm coaching.
That's good.
And
Good. Good.
so,
Congratulations, by the way. Congratulations. Yeah.
yeah. So you can catch me. And I actually started my show again after a year. So I recorded my show, Chai Together, with a friend of mine who's a suicide prevention specialist. So what came of Chai Together was really my solo journey led to me interviewing other people. And that led to a lot of videos and even some celebrities coming on.
Nice.
So that was really cool. And it was cool. I did a suicide prevention project in India as well, with somebody. So the things that I was able to do because of my will, I feel like my willpower, that I was restless until I win. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Cool. Cool. Cool.
Wait,
Well, you know what?
wait. One
Sure.
last thing. I
Sure.
didn't tell you this. This might be mind-boggling for those who are still listening and even you, but when I say my dreams came true from those times when I was depressed and suicidal and the things that I wanted to do and couldn't do, all those dreams came true. And I discovered Les Brown through somebody I didn't even know when I stopped into a Panera bread store. And that man showed me Les Brown at the time when I was suicidal through a network marketing company when I went to their house for, when they show you the deal and everything. And I was so depressed, like I couldn't get out of bed, but I listened to Les Brown's speech, It's Not Over Until You Win, every single day. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew nothing of him, but I knew, we had dream trips with this network marketing company and stuff they had. And I said, I want to go see that man, but I didn't have any money. I was 21 years old, 20 years old. And he was in Germany. I was like, one day I'm going to meet him. And I did.
Mm-hmm.
8 years later,
Look at that.
at the age of 28. So that goes to show you, you could be depressed down and about, but what God has for you will always come through, even if years later. So today he knows me, and that's that. So.
Do you also believe too that there are many different times in a person's life,
Hmm.
even in the course of a year or in a
Yeah.
season, where you would get these strong urges or digital downloads,
Hmm.
and you know that it's God speaking to you, and you know that there's going to be opportunities that He shows you through visions, through dreams.
Yeah.
Like I know for me, definitely through dreams
Yeah.
for a fact. And
Dream.
really, it's at that point for you to really say, you know what, this is for me,
Hmm.
right? And making that decision. Do
Hmm.
you agree with that, or is that like far-fetched and kind of woo-woo?
No, I know a dream researcher, Ryan Hurd. You guys can look him up. And I can send you a link to the video that I was on a call with him. And he's a dream researcher, and he actually shared how dreams are just different realities. And I mean, Try Together came to me in a dream. You understand? And I actually, the logo of it, I thought of years ago, and I talked about it with a friend. Like, it was just like a joke. I had no idea that I somehow painted it because it was in my subconscious.
Conscious, yep.
Everything is, everything comes together in life, you know? And no, I don't think it's woo woo. I just think, so like, for example, what are miracles? Like, can people actually answer that? Because I learned that miracles aren't something you comprehend. That's why it's called a miracle, because your human brain can't understand, like, how did that happen? You consider it a miracle. So it's really getting down to the education of why something is, and not everything has the answers. And just because someone could be more knowledgeable than you or read more than you or have has been more world traveled doesn't make somebody necessarily smarter than you. You know, so all these things, I just still treat myself as if I know nothing, you know? Like, even though I'm told I'm intelligent, all these great things, I still remain very balanced into learning
Mm.
more every day because I've already been to the bottom. It can never get worse than that. So I don't fear anything anymore, really.
Right on. Right on.
So I hope
Right
that
on.
answers some bit of it.
It actually did. It actually did. And I definitely do appreciate that. So if there's nothing else, guys, I'm not seeing any questions as far as the listening audience. So I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap this up
Okay.
here. This has been an amazing episode, and I truly, truly appreciate it. And by the way,
Hmm.
Prativa, I hope I'm saying your name
Yeah, you
correctly. If
are.
I'm not, please forgive me. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect.
Cool.
If there's anyone that you feel that's in your circle, in your
Hmm.
space, that you feel, you know what, that would be a fantastic guest,
Hmm.
you know, because I'm still going to be doing this series all month long. By all means, send them over my way, and I would
Okay.
love as far as to have them be a guest on this show because again, it's not about me, it's not about you, but it's really about giving the value and helping
Hmm.
someone out there. I have a saying in which you're going to hear me at the end of this is that if I can help one person. If we can help one person, then we all have done our jobs. And I
Oh,
truly
true.
believe that. Just one person. Now, if we can't help anybody using our platforms, using our brands, our businesses, our power voice, as Les Brown
Hmm.
would say, then what are we doing? What are we doing? Right? So it's just something for everybody to consider. We have reached a conclusion here of episode 139 with Transformation Greatness along with the Small Business Network podcast. I want to thank my amazing guests here, Pratibha Day. This has been very, I would say, informative, educational, and also inspirational. If you haven't had an opportunity, when you get a chance, please watch the replay. It was a lot of insights, a lot of great stuff in which that she mentioned. So I thank you
Thank you.
so, so
Thank
much.
you for having me.
Do you have any final words for the listening
I
audience? Anything that you want to
do.
leave with?
I
Okay.
do. My final words would be, um, I always say this, and that's don't kill yourself because of someone else's faults. Yeah. That's
Mm,
something when it comes to suicide that, you know, don't cut your life short because of what someone else did to you, that you deserve more than that to live out the fruition of your life.
mm,
Yeah.
that's powerful right there.
Thank
That
you.
that is powerful, and that's something too. Like, man, I mean, so many ways I can use content with that, but that'd be another
Yeah.
time. But until then, family, if what we stated on here either motivated, transformed, or inspired at least one person, and may God be the glory, and we take no credit for absolutely none of it. Until then, you're all amazing. We thank you so much for your time on this Wednesday evening. And by His grace and mercy, look forward to seeing you to the next episode, which will be mañana. So stay tuned, family. Thank you for your time. Have a good
Thanks.
night.